fire stations in Houghton and Plain Dealing. Shreveport residents can get sandbags from the city streets and drainage yard on Mansfield Road. Cyport wants a $2 million loan from the Caddo Commission to help with debt restructuring. According to the Times, Cyport officials met with Commissioners Stephen Jackson and John Atkins before going before the full commission. However, parish officials aren't sure the loan would be legal, saying the loan may fall outside the parish charter. The UDC loses another round in court. Matt Parker with that.
The United Daughters of the Confederacy are suing Caddo Parish in an attempt to stop the removal of the Confederate monument in downtown Shreveport. As part of that suit, the UDC wanted depositions from 4 of the 7 Caddo commissioners who voted for removal. However, a U.S. judge has shut down the UDC, saying that depositions wouldn't help their case and that the reasons why the commissioners voted for removal are irrelevant. The suit is scheduled to go to trial on June 25th. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
After a 10-month investigation, State Attorney General Jeff Landry announces no charges will be filed against 2 Baton Rouge police officers in the shooting death of Alton Sterling.
The Louisiana Department of Justice cannot proceed with a prosecution of either Officer Lake or Officer Solomon.
Landry says his office did not take this decision lightly and went through every piece of evidence gathered by local police and federal authorities. Hunter Coleman, Cole Jones, and Timothy Capo celebrated for their daring rescue at the duck pond. The trio honored at the city council meeting for their heroic efforts. Coleman, Jones, and Capo dove into the duck pond to rescue 2 women and 3 children from a wrecked car. All 3 children and grandmother Kathy Brown survived the wreckage. The driver, Megan Brown, died in that crash. Could smoking be banned in Shreveport bars? Shreveport Councilman James Fleury proposing an ordinance to ban smoking in bars. He says bartenders and those that work in the clubs have no choice in whether or not they are exposed to smoke. However, many local bar owners say banning smoking would hurt their business and give the casinos an unfair advantage. Minimum wage increase, pay secrecy, and equal pay for women legislation all died on the Senate floor. The bills were a major part of the governor's agenda. New Orleans Senator J.P. Morrell's equal pay for women bill died 20-18. He says the best and brightest in our state are flocking to other states that won't pay them less for the same work a man does.
In all the places where all these industries are flourishing, California has the 6th highest economy in the world. And they have some of the most stringent equal pay legislation in the world.
The wage hike was defeated 21-17. Bossier School Bus 300 hit by a driver on Airline Drive in front of the Walmart. The accident happened around 3 p.m. The driver apparently pulled out of the parking lot and hit the bus. No students were hurt. A bill seeking to make major changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. LSU Student Body Vice President Rachel Campbell says the proposed legislation would force some LSU students to leave our state.
I am also a TOPS recipient. Without it, I would not have been able to have the experience that I've had at LSU. In fact, when funding was not met last year, my parents actually encouraged me to transfer out of state without looking back.
It's still unclear if TOPS will be fully funded next fall. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 6 o'clock, KEEL, traffic for Wednesday. Ruben's here.
Things are still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Shed Road near Swan Lake Spur in Bossier City. Drive safely in these wet conditions, and if you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 12 past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Always the KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Usually we talk about this in these shorter segments, and I just kind of turn it over to you, and I say, tell us about the that we'll get to in a second. And you do a spectacular job doing it.
Yeah, whatever.
But I do want to take a couple of seconds and give you a pat on the back.
Okay.
And not very hairy at all. What would you know?
I have no hair on my back.
I didn't.
I'm unlike you, Gorilla Man.
No. Of all the things I have, of all my drawbacks, of all my aging, as Matt just said a second ago, decrepancies,
Yeah.
decrepitudes, hairy back is not one of them.
Yeah.
No ear hair. Oh, God, how did we get off on this?
No head hair?
No, that's true, too.
He has hair nowhere.
Yeah, he's like left the microwave door open. So the point I was going to make was that your job with this Easter basket thing
That was so cool.
is freaking astounding.
Thanks for your help, by the way, yesterday. I appreciate you. I'm not allowed to pick up anything of any girth.
180? Did I see that right?
We've got 109 packed. We're gonna have probably 300.
What?
By the time this is over. Yeah, it's just it's amazing. I delivered about 30. I'm not sure how many yesterday.
So tell everybody, if you guys don't know, Erin got this not so wild hair, HARE, a while back that she was going to put Easter baskets together for a lot of kids around the Arklatex who otherwise would not have Easter.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the stuff we do at Christmas. And you targeted, so to speak, Providence House, and some of the others included.
Yeah, Project Celebration, Shriners. We're going to hopefully stop by Hope Connections, maybe the Rescue Mission. We've got so many baskets that I'm going to make as many stops as possible.
And you literally solicited on the air folks across the Arklatex for their donations.
Our listeners, amazing.
And
just simply amazing.
Boy, did they step up. So fill me in as to where you were yesterday, because I walked by a couple of times and you had literally an assembly line of Easter elves in there.
Had some of my bunco gals drop by. Had a lot of our fellow co-workers who stepped up to help pack the baskets. And a lot of them, we had to fill some of the eggs, those plastic eggs.
Yes.
So our digital manager, she stepped in and did all the egg filling, which was awesome. That was a tough job. I was like, ooh, that's a lot of work.
In fact, you had urged listeners not to bring the empty plastic eggs because who wants to fill those?
But we also found people had sent eggs that are already pre-filled. I didn't even know those existed.
Neither did I.
And we got very few peeps, which I'm happy about because I'm a peep hater. Just FYI. The ones that were sent, we exploded in the microwave. No, we really didn't. I did not do that, I promise.
This time.
But yeah, this time.
It's
but
early.
we put out the baskets for Project Celebration. We filled those, and that's a domestic violence shelter here in town. And we wanted to make them kind of uniform because all the kids would see what everybody got. So we made those uniforms, set them aside. Then we did the ones for Shriners, got those all filled up, set them aside. We got the ones for Providence House done, and hopefully I'll make that delivery today.
Literally aiming.
Oh, it's unreal.
Targeting at putting together 300 Easter baskets.
It's unbelievable. We got a day-long work today to do on it, so I'm going to get to work back on that later today. But thank you for your help. All the local groups, Merrill Lynch, the Crime Stoppers stepped up big time. Senator Ryan Getty, Mike Middleton, so many people. My Bunko gals.
While we're talking about
Marcus and Meow brought a bunch of stuff.
While we're talking about Mike Middleton, Cattle Commissioner, ask me what the coolest thing I did yesterday was.
What was it? I know.
He let me drive his 1968 restored Ford Ranger pickup.
Is that pickup the coolest thing?
It's the coolest thing, but it literally is like driving the car off the opening sequence of the Flintstones. It gives you a sense. Understand, that's the kind of vehicle that I was raised on, that learned to drive in. The car I learned to drive on was a 1963 Ford Falcon station wagon, standard transmission, clutch, 3 on the tree. That belonged to that was my mother's car. That's the car I learned to drive on. So when I hop into that, he came out and he had the back end of his truck filled up, and we unloaded, and I went out and was looking at his 50-year-old vehicle, and he says, "Do you want to drive it?" I said, "Oh my!" I got giddy. I ran inside. Forgot my wallet, but that's okay. I got a Caddo Commissioner with me. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And he says, "Do you know how to drive it?" I said, "Are you kidding me? I was born to drive this truck." And it's I'm going to show you here, and if you're watching on the video, here's how 3 on the tree works. Imagine the shape of an H for the transmit. 4 on the stick shift is on the steering column.
Yeah.
And so forward and up is reverse. Straight down on the same side is first. Neutral's in the middle of the H. Then the top back of the H is third, straight down is fourth. Now, the reason I mention that is because this is a V8 in this truck. And I said to Mr. Mike, I said, "So what kind of mileage you get on this?" And he said, about 8. And I said, "I was thinking that would be a lot because if you stop and think about it, you can get this truck into third gear, and in fact, you're supposed to at about 30 or 35 miles an hour, which means if you're on the highway at about 60, imagine how wound up that third gear is. Whee! At 60 miles an hour. There's no fourth gear. There's no overdrive. There's nowhere to go.
It is churning.
So it is, you are RPMing, as the phrase goes. But God, it was so much fun to drive. but he installed in his restoration, he installed power steering, but didn't install power brakes. And literally, it's like stopping the vehicle by dragging your feet on the ground.
Oh, man.
And it just gives you an inclination into how far
meet the Flintstones.
into how far we've advanced vehicularly.
That is amazing.
In the last half a century.
That's a cool truck.
You started to say what?
Well, I don't mean any offense to Mr. Mike. I like him. He's a nice guy. But is he some kind of idiot letting you drive his car? What the hell?
You got a point. I'm kind of with you, Matt.
He said to me, "I can't believe that you picked up on that 3 on the tree." So I said, "I was born driving that 3 on the tree, son. I got my driver's license driving that 3 on the tree. My mother's Falcon station wagon.
Oh,
and my
that
dad,
was a chick magnet, wasn't it?
My dad's joke was, did you get a Falcon? And my mom would go, no, I got a good deal. It was the only joke I ever heard them do.
Oh, boy.
19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Thanks for getting the joke, Matt. When we come back, I have been thinking a great deal about your theory that you said you used the word sinister yesterday, and I'm not sure sinister is the right word, but I think you were onto something. And I still don't think you can say what you wanted to say. But I think we can work around that. And when it comes to the GDC, that Development Consortium, and the Downtown Development Authority, I think, first of all, we'll see if there's any updates.
Okay.
Second of all, I think Miss Erin may have been on to something in her theorizing about what was the purpose of the email that was less than friendly.
You think I got it?
To
think
DDA,
I got it on the nose?
to DDA boss Liz Swain.
Oh, boy.
19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Sports just ahead. Traffic and weather now. Here's Ruben.
Everything's looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Linwood Avenue near West 70th Street. Drive with caution on these wet roads, and if you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Fun place to shop.
22 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Fletch out today. Sports time. Here's Erin.
NFL owners have unanimously approved new language in the catch rule, defining control of the ball, getting 2 feet or another body part down, and making a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball. Saints coach Sean Payton got asked about who's hot in this year's draft, and he didn't hesitate. He likes Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I like him. You watch him play, he's athletic. He's got a magic smile to him. He's a fantastic leader. One of the things that we as coaches, and we all understand this, you know, that there's not going to be another Drew Brees clone. But with Lamar, I think you feel it in the room, and you can tell he can lead.
General Manager Mickey Loomis says the big names are off the market and free agency has cooled off, so fan attention is turning to the draft. A prosecutor says a Michigan State University official failed to supervise Larry Nassar at a critical time when the sports doctor was facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Bill Forsyth announcing charges against 70-year-old William Strample, who was dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine until December. Strample's accused of willful neglect of duty in his dealings with Nassar. And Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is back throwing in practice. He made some throws and handoffs after injuring a finger on his left throwing hand in the Crimson Tide's first spring practice. I'm Erin McCarty.
I do not have in front of me, nor did I pull up that email. Could you do that?
I can try. I'm not prepared for that, but I'll try.
That's what we talked about going into the last segment.
Well, someone had to write and do a sportscast on the fly, and someone was sitting there picking his ass. But that's
hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button. 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Did we make it? Do you think we made it?
I don't know.
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Jack Spring Electric Shock Buster
We've
button.
already used it already?
The Jack Spring Electric
Would you
Shock...
stop your potty mouth?
Shock... God, you are such a daddy's little princess. Oh, my God. I can see. I'm going to tell you a story here real quick.
Okay.
And this is basically what you just did, okay?
Yeah.
A long, long time ago, and this is, I'm not going to sing American Pie.
Please don't.
A long, long time ago. I mean, back in the, I want to say late 80s, I dated for a while a woman who had about a 5-year-old son. And we, in our relationship, had progressed to the point where we would, on occasion, go out and take her 5-year-old son. And I'm trying to think of the exact circumstance, but we went to a minor league baseball game. And there was just something about this little kid that was like part Damien, part Chucky.
Most kids are like that, Robert.
No. This kid was as manipulative at the age of 60 months.
Whoa.
He was manipulative. I could see him like working things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember because it's a long time ago. The precise details. But we were at this minor league baseball game, and the little boy was sitting between me and her.
Okay.
And something happened that he did, like he pinched or punched his mom or something. And she turns and looks at him instinctively like, "What did you do?" And the little kid looks at me and goes, "Why did you do that?"
Oh.
I mean, he literally, it was like he stuck his mom with a pin.
Yeah.
And then when she went, "Ow," and looks at the kid, "Why did you do that?" The little boy looks at mom and goes, "Yeah," looks at me and says, "Why did you do that?"
Oh, that's
and I'm
pretty
thinking,
good.
This relationship is over.
Yeah, we're done.
Because Chucky / Damien there,
He's going to throw you under the bus at every
want
chance.
me around. Not only throw me under the bus, he's going to work it where he's going to push me under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least he didn't strangle you.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you just did with the Jack Spring electric button. Did you just email me that email?
I did, yeah.
Okay. The name of the group, and we'll go to break here in about 20 seconds. The name of the group is the Geodesic Dome Consortium.
No, it's not. It's the Gateway Development Consortium.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
And they are at the vanguard. They are leading interference for the new proposed billion-dollar Cross Bayou project.
Yeah.
What do we call it? Cross Bayou 2.0.
You bet.
Tell you what, we'll go to break. When we come back, we'll update you. There may be some new news that Erin has, but what was the purpose of this? What do we always say? Never send a negative email.
No, always positive emails.
Well, they sent a negative email.
Yeah.
And you have a theory about why they would go public with negative comments.
And I don't know if I want to go public with my theory.
No. I don't think you should.
Okay.
But I think there is some validity, and you can explain again.
Okay.
29 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update now. Ruben's here.
I-20 westbound's got it clear all the way to Dallas right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-49 northbound near Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Power of information. KEEL News now.
A bill seeking to make major changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. Student Body Vice President Rachel Campbell says reducing TOPS awards amounts for some students is just not the way to build a strong economy.
In order to strengthen the state's workforce and stimulate the state's crippling economy, legislators should reinvest in higher education and TOPS.
The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. No charges will be filed against two Baton Rouge police officers who shot and killed Alton Sterling in 2016. Attorney General Jeff Landry says his office and several independent investigators felt the shooting was justified.
Each expert was selected by the U.S. Department of Justice. Each independently concluded that both officers acted in a reasonable and justifiable manner in the shooting death of Mr. Sterling.
Landry says despite the outcome that we should all unite and pray for the family that Sterling left behind. The United Daughters of the Confederacy are suing Caddo Parish in an attempt to stop the removal of the Confederate monument downtown. As part of the suit, the UDC wanted depositions from 4 of the 7 commissioners who voted for removal. However, a judge has shut down the UDC, saying the depositions would not help their case. Could smoking be banned in Shreveport bars? Matt Parker takes a look.
Shreveport City Councilman James Fleury is proposing an ordinance to ban smoking in Shreveport bars. Fleury says that bartenders and those that work in bars and clubs have no choice on whether or not they are exposed to smoke. However, many local bar owners say that banning smoking would hurt their business and give casinos an unfair advantage. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Sandbags are available locally with the heavy rains moving through. The sandbags are being made available to residents across Shreveport and Bossier. Bossier residents can pick them up at the maintenance facility in Benton, as well as the fire stations in Houghton and Plain Dealing. Shreveport residents can get sandbags from the city streets and drainage yard on Mansfield Road. A bill to shorten the waiting period for getting married advances to the House floor. The legislation by Karen Crow Representative Julie Emerson would reduce the wait time from the time paperwork is filed to officially hitched to 24 hours from the current 72. Emerson says Louisiana has an abnormally long wait time.
And this was, like I said, a little bit of an outlier, and at some point you have to kind of let people make their own decisions in that regard.
The current 72-hour delay is in place to dissuade impulsive marriage decisions. One-time White House aide and former Apprentice contestant Omarosa Newman is dishing on what her brief stint advising the president was like. She says he launches morning tweets in his underwear. She says she was attacked by other aides when she tried curbing his tweets. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis talks about the future of the team. Now, he was asked about the failed pursuit of all-pro defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. Suh signed with the Rams on a one-year, $14 million deal after a visit to New Orleans. Loomis says sometimes it just doesn't work out.
We made a pitch and Lucky chose to go a different direction. That happens. That happens more often than not, really. When you have 32 teams and you're all competing for a group of players, and so sometimes you lose.
Coach Sean Payton got asked for a hot take on the draft and didn't hesitate to say there's one quarterback he really admires, and that's Louisville's Lamar Jackson. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
ShreveportHelpWanted.com.
The Liz thing. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to take some time. 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 637. So the gas tax, the minimum wage increase failed yesterday.
Yeah, it went down to defeat the equal pay bill, too, to pay women equal amount that men make. Several of those bills went down. So they're all out at this point. They're still working on the TOPS changes.
We'll get to those later because I don't want Matt to get weird too early. What was the vote? It was on the Senate floor. What was the Senate floor vote on the minimum wage increase, which would have gone, by the way, from $7.25 to $8.50?
It was defeated 21-17.
So it was.
It was close.
Yeah.
4-vote margin.
That's a lot of Republicans. Well, on the other hand, the Senate has history of being a little more liberal than the vastly Republican-dominated House.
Just a smidge, yeah.
When we come back, I promise we will talk about that GDC thing. I don't know where I got Geodesic Dome Consortium.
I don't know. That's the Gateway Development Consortium.
You don't even
and
know.
the little tiff with the DDA.
Yeah, and I think your theory is right, and we shall review.
Oh, I don't know.
6:39. What? You can't back off.
I don't know if I want to say it.
Don't say it out loud. I just think that we'll talk about this when we get back. I'm not trying to get you in trouble with anybody.
I know.
And I don't want you to say what you didn't say yesterday.
Right.
But I just want to point out to everybody that you were right and give you credit where it's deserved.
Okay, thanks.
Some sinister stuff, though. 6:39, traffic time. Here's Ruben.
Things are still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Shed Road near Swan Lake Spur in Bossier City. Drive safely in these wet conditions, and if you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Good morning, 641. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Don't forget about the KEEL app. It's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. You know, I reread this email a couple of times yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The one from Gateway Development Consortium.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are fronting the new 10-year, $1 billion Cross Bayou deal. And this was an email sent to Liz Swain, specifically Liz Swain at Downtown Development Authority.
Right.
And I read it over a couple of times, pretty close. And this is on about second or third reading when you start to parse the sentences and stuff.
Yeah.
This is a pretty, no matter what side of this you come down on.
It's a dressing down.
It's a pretty well written email.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a couple of seconds because there's a couple of lines in here that sort of, I don't want to say create straw men we'll get to that in a second. First of all, give everybody about a 30 to 45 second background on what happened, and before we get into the heart of their email, the Gateway Development Consortium, that's the Cross Bayou folks' email.
Mm-hmm.
What led up to this?
Well, apparently Liz Swain, who runs the Downtown Development Authority, got wind or heard that the Gateway Consortium group was putting out there that the DDA supported this $1 billion Cross Bayou project and may have even used the DDA logo in some of their presentations.
That's what she had heard. That's what she thought.
She heard that, or maybe she had evidence of it. I don't know.
Believed to be true.
She sent an email to the Gateway Development Consortium folks saying to stop using our logo. Please don't misrepresent that we're in favor of this.
In other words, we have not yet taken a stand. We ain't again you, but we have not made we have not given you our public support and or backing.
And don't use our name in trying to sell it at this point.
At least yet.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Gateway got that email, and this is their response to that email.
And basically they deny having done that.
They do. They say, we wish you'd have called us first and chatted.
Why didn't you call us?
Mm-hmm.
We would have straightened it out.
Yeah, exactly.
and they say it basically they you say it.
We're disappointed you choose to react to an unfounded rumor without first consulting us. They're dressing her down.
So my question was this yesterday. In a world where, and this is as we said a couple of times on yesterday's program, yesterday's show, that here at Town Square Media, rule number one is don't put anything negative in an email, because what happens, then there's a paper trail, if you will, of your being negative, of your criticizing.
And a lot of your email tones can be taken out of context. Email is just different.
It just doesn't serve, at least in our experience, it just doesn't serve us well in the long run.
If you mess up with me, I'm going to look you eyeball to eyeball and go, you messed up.
So the question,
fix it.
So the question I had was, what was the reason, if down the line, if Gateway Development Consortium wants the backing of DDA, and specifically Ms. Swain, which is pretty important, that's a pretty weighty, that's somebody good to have on your side. You can't deny it. So the point being, if down the line you want her on your side and you want the weight of the DDA behind you in this cross-bayou billion-dollar project, what was the purpose of sending this negative email, which of course would alienate her, whether it became public or not? It would certainly, I would think, rub Liz a little the wrong way.
Yeah, I have a theory about why they sent such an email.
And
I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to tell you this, that this response to Liz
is...
Wait, hush up a minute.
Go ahead.
It was CC'd to a pile of people.
I did see that.
So they knew it's going to get out there.
The mayor, Brian Crawford, there's a whole list.
All city council members, all Caddo commission members.
It basically was everybody but you and me.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you got to ask yourself...
They knew it was going to get out there.
What was the reason that they sent out this email? As you said yesterday, a dressing down of the DDA, specifically Liz Swain.
I have my theory.
I know you have your theory, and I don't want you to say what it is, but I think you can easily say that it was a politically motivated move.
I think it was. I absolutely think it was a line in the sand sort of deal.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because as I parsed the email yesterday, you know, when a couple of days ago, when you started yelling at me about that kids' gun control march, and they called it the March Against Gun Violence, and I said, wait a second, I don't accept the template. That if I'm not marching with them, if I'm not for total gun control, if I'm not for confiscation, if I'm not for repeal of the Second Amendment, that doesn't mean I'm pro gun violence.
Right.
I'm not going to let you twist words like that. Listen to this sentence. And I want you to have that in mind. What the way you frame things and what it says about not your opponents. Well, in this case, maybe your opponents. This is from the GDC email. Thus, we, meaning GDC, thus, we have a responsibility to the next generation to reject the status quo of a depressed urban core that subsidizes outer-ringed affluent neighborhoods. Are they basically saying, in other words, if you don't think this is a good idea, if you don't think this 10-year, billion-dollar cross-bayou project is a brilliant idea,
you're against poor people.
Then you're just yesterday's news. You're just for an old, dilapidated, ratty Shreveport, and you don't care what happens to people downtown or anywhere for that.
You're not for progress. You want us to die.
Is that outrageous? Is that an outrage?
No, that's pretty bright.
See how they're framing it?
Yeah.
Oh, if you're not for us, if you're not staunchly behind,
if you're against this,
you
want Shreveport to die.
Redneck, hillbilly, closed-minded, blindfold, gun-toting, gun rack in the back of your pickup.
You must shoot puppies too.
I could go on.
Man.
648, but that's not that outrageous.
I know
of me to say that.
I know you're right.
648, it's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Erin has sports in just a couple of seconds, and your money now, traffic and weather updates all coming up right here next on KEEL.
I-20 westbound's got it clear all the way to Dallas right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-49 northbound near Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.52, 101. I'll tell you guys in a second. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Sports time. Fletch is out. Erin is here.
NFL owners have unanimously approved new language in the catch rule, defining control of the ball, getting 2 feet or another body part down, and making a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball. Saints coach Sean Payton got asked about who's hot in this year's draft, and he didn't hesitate. He likes Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I like him. You watch him play. He's athletic. He's got a magic smile to him. He's a fantastic leader. One of the things that we as coaches, and we all understand this, that there's not going to be another Drew Brees clone. But with Lamar, I think you feel it in the room, and you can tell he can lead.
General Manager Mickey Loomis says the big names are off the market and free agency has cooled off, so fan attention is turning to the draft. A prosecutor says a Michigan State University official failed to supervise Larry Nassar at a critical time when the sports doctor was facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Bill Forsyth announcing charges against 70-year-old William Strample, who was dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine until December. Strample's accused of willful neglect of duty in his dealings with Nassar. An Alabama quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is back throwing in practice. He made some throws and handoffs after injuring a finger on his left throwing hand in the Crimson Tide's first spring practice. I'm Erin McCarty.
Good morning, 655. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. I'm going to ask both you guys this, and if you're listening, I want you to think about this too, and we'll talk about this at some point in the 7 o'clock hour.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw this, our friend Paul works in New Orleans now. Mm-hmm. And in no particular order, he talks about 10 all-time favorite albums. Boom, boom, boom. Here's the part that I really started thinking about.
Okay.
The albums that made an impact on, and then he goes on to say, the albums that changed your life. And I was thinking about that, and I thought, there's no music that changed my life. Is there music that changed when you're 19 or even at 18 or 20 or 20? Is there an album? Is there an artist? Is there music? Don't answer now. That changed your life. And I just can't think of one. 656, here's Rush on Keel.
A man of the cloth, a pastor, has asked the mayor of Chicago to change the names of two parks in his neighborhood. Bishop James Dukes, pastor to Liberation Christian Center, says Chicago has no business honoring George Washington and Andrew Jackson. He says that both were slave owners, which is especially offensive in Chicago's black communities. He told the media, "When my children or grandchildren walk through these parks and say, 'Grandfather, wasn't he a slave owner?' How do I explain that? And how do I reconcile that with their views of what heroes are?" Pastor Dukes says that he isn't trying to eradicate history. He just wants it put where it belongs so it can be taught properly. Now, who does Pastor Dukes think is worthy of having their names on community parks? Well, he offered a couple of ideas. The Reverend Jackson or Michael Jackson. Actor Leslie Odom Jr., who performed in the Broadway musical Hamilton, also weighed in. He told TMZ that pulling down statues of Washington and Jefferson should be on the table for discussion. Perhaps the better question for Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, and Pastor Davis and Mr. Odom isn't what the name of the parks ought to be. It's whether children and grandchildren who visit the parks in Chicago these days stand a chance of getting out of them alive. I mean, there's a lot of people getting shot in Chicago. You remember that, right? Kids, too. My friends, if you own land, you know that spring is the best time of year to get work done on your property. Now, during the month of March, my good friends at Mahindra have special red tag savings on the toughest tractors and utility vehicles on earth. During the Mahindra Red Tag Sale, enjoy up to $7,900 in tractor cash back and savings, or utility vehicle savings up to $1,700. Plus, Mahindra's industry-leading warranties will come standard. So get the most out of your land and your budget with Mahindra's Spring Red Tag Savings. You'll see why 98% of Mahindra owners would recommend one to a neighbor. Learn more about rugged Mahindra utility vehicles and the world's #1 selling tractor at MahindraUSA.com.
Take advantage of rock bottom prices and test drive a Mahindra today at Kelly Tractor and Equipment in Longview, or visit kellytractor.net. That's kellytractor.net.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenues dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that downed tree and power lines on Gladstone near Highland Avenue. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
KeelAccuWeather.com forecast cloudy and rainy today, low to middle 70s, right now 59.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
3 past 7 o'clock, Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Erin has local news, and she is getting ready now.
The UDC loses a round in court. The state attorney general weighs in on the Alton Sterling case, and sandbags available if you need them.
I said we'd talk about tops because it just makes Matt so mad, and it's kind of like, fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like when you poke your little brother when he was little.
Oh, I love it.
What was the other story you said would get him a little upset?
Smoking in bars.
Okay, need to talk about that. And the NFL's new catch rule. Will it make it better or worse or just a bigger mess? Fletcher in sports. No, Erin has sports this morning. Timmy's on the road. Traffic and weather all coming up this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
Of information. Keel News now.
Sandbags available across our region. Matt Parker with that.
With heavy rainfall moving through the area and flash flood warnings in effect, sandbags are being made available to residents in Shreveport and Bossier. Bossier residents can get sandbags at the Highway Maintenance Facility in Benton, as well as several fire stations in Houghton and Plain Dealing. Shreveport residents can get sandbags from the city streets and drainage yard on Mansfield Road. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Cyport wants a $2 million loan from the Caddo Commission to help with debt restructuring. According to the Times, Cyport officials met with Commissioners Stephen Jackson and John Atkins before going before the full commission. However, parish officials aren't sure the loan would be legal, saying the loan may fall outside the parish charter. A bill to shorten the waiting period for getting married has advanced to the House floor. The legislation by Karen Crow Representative Julie Emerson would reduce the wait time from the time paperwork is filed to officially hitched to 24 hours from the current 72. Emerson says Louisiana's long wait time is a rarity in state marriage laws.
There are 30 states that have zero waiting period on the front or the back end now. So if it's not heavily affecting those states, I don't think it'll heavily affect Louisiana.
The current 72-hour delay is in place to dissuade impulsive marriage decisions. Hunter Coleman, Cole Jones, and Timothy Capo were celebrated for their daring rescue at the duck pond. The trio honored at the council meeting for their heroic rescue. Coleman, Jones, and Capo dove into the pond to rescue 2 women and 3 children from a wrecked car last month. All 3 children and grandmother Kathy Brown survived the wreckage. The driver, Megan Brown, died in that crash. A Shreveport man arrested after botching his getaway. According to police, they attempted to make contact with a man who appeared to be passed out at a stoplight on Fern Avenue. However, when police arrived on the scene, the man snapped to and tried to flee. Unfortunately, during his getaway, he crashed into a light pole and he was arrested by police. The minimum wage increase, pay secrecy, and equal pay for women all died on the Senate floor last night. New Orleans Senator J.P. Morrell's Equal Pay for Women bill died 20-18. The pay secrecy bill would have prevented employers from retaliating against workers who choose to discuss pay with each other. That bill died 23-15. A minimum wage hike was also struck down. New Orleans Senator Troy Carter says raising the wage would have rewarded those who chose to work instead of living off government assistance.
These are people who say, I don't want your welfare. I want to work for my money. I want to feel good about myself. I want to get up in the morning. I want to put in a full day's work, and I'd like a living wage.
The wage hike was defeated 21-17. A bill to make changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. Senator Blade Morris proposed the legislation as a way to lower the cost of TOPS for the state. It cost an estimated $290 million. He says if lawmakers are unwilling to overhaul TOPS, then it will continue to struggle paying for it every year.
It's a one-year program, and until we, as a legislature, we need a sustainable source of income to continue this program.
Looks like Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is getting ready to deal with Capitol Hill. A number of news reports say Zuckerberg is planning to testify before Congress about how his company collects and uses user data. CNN is citing sources as saying the Facebook founder has come to terms with the fact that he'll have to face lawmakers in a matter of weeks. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Time for traffic. Ruben's ready.
The 400 block of Gladstone near Highland Avenue is dealing with a downed tree and power lines blocking the road right now. And we have some traffic delays on Westgate Drive near Barksdale Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
When you're good at what you do, people...
Twelve past 7 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. So there's two things. Shreveport Security System text line, by the way, is 318-392-1884. Make a mental note or jot that down. You'll need it later. The things, what did I say? That TOPS is sort of, the TOPS program is it's sort of the Carolina ghost pepper on the Scoville units scale of Matt's irritability and or temper.
Yeah. Stirs him up a smidge.
And yes, it does. So there are two things. When you had the little news tease earlier this morning about more changes coming in tops, et cetera, and we'll talk about those in a second. And suddenly he's like, he's like Cameron Mitchell in My Favorite Year, where he's
got smoke coming out of orifice I didn't even know he had.
That's interesting you say that, because we're going to talk about smoke and smoking, too, in just a couple of seconds. These two are oddly tied together.
Yep.
So, first of all, update me and everyone on the latest tops info. I'm sorry we couldn't quite pick that up. I know. Settle down.
There's a bear in the room.
I'm telling you, it's. So what's the latest? What's the deal?
The Education Committee on the Senate side defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award, and it would also have provided additional stipends for students who perform well on the ACT. Well, the Senate panel said no to those changes.
Somebody's his head is in his hands.
Since when did standards become a bad thing? That's all I'm asking. You know, oh, we can't afford to pay this. We can't do this. All right, well, here's a plan. We're going to save the state $100 million, and all we're going to do is make kids try. Yet no, we can't do that. I mean, what the hell?
Because we live in an everybody gets a trophy participation hooray world.
Look, to get tops, you have to have a C average, right?
Yes.
That's basically the bottom seller.
But what if you go to a D school, Matt, and you don't have a choice?
If you go to a crappy school, you should do better. You should be better.
You can't. They will say, my kids can't.
My kids
my
can't.
school does not teach them. My kid
Look,
can't learn there.
Look, not everybody is going to be a professor. The world needs ditch diggers, okay? I know you don't want to hear your kids.
So all the ditch diggers should come from D schools.
All the ditch diggers should, realize, college isn't for me, and the parents shouldn't go, my kid's a special little snowflake, and he needs to be treated like one, so let's go get him an education.
He makes an interesting point. If one kid can come from a bad school and go to college and succeed,
why can't everyone?
Why can't they all?
Because they're not putting in the effort, they're not putting in the work. Oh, the environment around me is so terrible. Yet somehow there's a dozen kids or more out of that same environment that are rising above and getting A's and B's.
The exception to the rule.
Then what
and they may have something different going on at home.
Maybe
we don't know.
Maybe they deserve those scholarships because they are special. Just because you're an average run-of-the-mill Joe doesn't mean you deserve special treatment.
But an average run-of-the-mill Joe at an A-rated school is going to do better on the ACT than an average run-of-the-mill kid at a D-ranked school. That's just the nature of the beast.
If you're not smart
and that's
and
not
you don't
fair.
study and you don't work hard at it, you're never going to get good at anything. It doesn't matter if you're talking about taking tests or rebuilding an engine.
But
if
should
you
it
don't put in
matter
the
where
work,
you live? Should it matter where you live, whether you get a college education? That's part of this problem.
So you tell me, where do you draw that line? As we've pointed out,
I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Hold on just a second, because here's where we are, and it's what I've said a billion times, and any number of politicians and influential people and educators will agree with me, either on the radio or at least off. One of the reasons, the reason we need TOPS is because college is expensive. College is expensive because we have TOPS. Because we have student loans. There is no checks and balances. There is no law of supply and demand.
TOPS should go to kids who need the money. It shouldn't go to every kid simply because they got the GPA.
That's what he just said.
No, he wants them to, he wants it to be merit-based only.
Well,
it also needs to be based on your income, your family's income as well.
Look, there's two ways you can go here.
So now you're going to means test TOPS also.
You either have
Why should the ultra-rich be getting free tuition?
I'm not arguing this. I'm just repeating what you're saying. So in your world, TOPS would be A, based on accomplishment and achievement, and means tested.
Yes.
Okay, so what
you mean like an actual scholarship program, which nobody seems to want to put in? If you put in,
we want more of our kids in our colleges so they stay here. We don't have enough scholarships to go around for all these kids.
I'll let you wrap up the segment in just a second.
He's turning orange.
You're like a jack in the box. Okay, but always remember, The cost of college is so high.
I know.
Because somebody else pays.
I understand that.
The student is no longer, I'm not just talking to you.
But isn't there a value to that?
The student is no longer the customer. As the student is no longer the customer, as the state or the government or the student loan, whoever is passing out the student loans, now it's only the federal government through a number of financial institutions.
FOFSA or whatever it is.
The point being that the student is no longer the customer. So there's no real competition. There's no real shopping. The higher education, the college, knows they can continue to raise their tuition and knows that whoever is paying it, because it's not the student, will continue to pay higher and higher rates because it's just tax dollars, i.e. someone else's money. So back to my original postulate, my original theory, which is more than a theory. You can read, there are articles written about this that it bears out to be true. College education, as long as it is being paid for by someone other than the student, will continue to rise. There is no control. There's no price control on it at all. Supply and demand ceases to exist.
And there's one point that everybody seems to forget. They're like, well, if we don't get TOPS, these kids can't go to college. You know, there's federal grants. There's a dozen other ways that you can get your college paid for. It's not all TOPS. If you really believe in yourself and you're like, I have the skill, I have the ability, I know I can kill in college, there are routes and other options that you can have. We don't need to pay for it. I don't need to pay for some kid that should be digging a ditch who's going to go down to Baton Rouge, drink Jack Daniels, and take bowling class. If you think you are worth it, if you think you could be a senator or a scientist or any other damn thing, then bet on yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you really think you deserve it, then get out there and prove me wrong. Don't
get it, sister.
To just, you know, if your lot in life is to be a ditch digger or a mortician or a mechanic, why should I pay for your experimentation?
Amen.
TOPS is supposed to be for the top of the. It's TOPS for a reason. It's for the top of our student body.
Where's your church?
If you don't reach that level, you don't deserve my money.
19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Maybe a promo or two in there.
Maybe.
Traffic time. Here's Ruben.
The 400 block of Gladstone near Highland Avenue is dealing with a downed tree and power lines blocking the road right now. And we have some traffic delays on Westgate Drive near Barksdale Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
He just said, I'd respect these people a lot more if they weren't stupid.
Oh, man.
21 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Fletch out today. Erin has sports.
NFL owners have unanimously approved new language in the catch rule, defining control of the ball, getting 2 feet or another body part down, and making a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball. Saints coach Sean Payton got asked about who's hot in this year's draft, and he didn't hesitate. He likes Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I like him. You watch him play. He's athletic. He's got a magic smile to him. He's a fantastic leader. One of the things that we as coaches, and we all understand this, you know, that there's not going to be another Drew Brees clone. But with Lamar, I think you feel it in the room, and you can tell he can lead.
General Manager Mickey Loomis says the big names are off the market and free agency has cooled off, so fan attention is turning to the draft. A prosecutor says a Michigan State University official failed to supervise Larry Nassar at a critical time when the sports doctor was facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Bill Forsyth announcing charges against 70-year-old William Strample, who was dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine until December. Strample's accused of willful neglect of duty in his dealings with Nassar. An Alabama quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is back throwing in practice. He made some throws and handoffs after injuring a finger on his left throwing hand in the Crimson Tide's first spring practice. I'm Erin McCarty.
Twenty-four past 7 o'clock, 101.7. What is this, lunchtime? Everybody's on break here?
I'm sorry, I was talking to my fan club.
No, you were not unimpressive, my friend. What are you munching on down there? You want to share?
It's a kashi bar.
Rope flavor?
It was all I could find.
No,
I don't
that's
have any food at the house.
No, I've got an apple in my bag if you want it.
No, I'm good.
Been in there since 2 week ago Monday.
No, thank you.
Yum.
Your apple sauce in your bag.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel. I had seen... I mentioned this toward the end of last hour. I had seen a post from our friend Paul in New Orleans, who's in radio down there, and he sort of put this thing up over the weekend, maybe yesterday. And it was like basically the greatest albums of all time. But then he got into this sort of a, not philosophical, not really literary, but what album is it? What music is it that changed your life? And I started thinking about that, and I thought, there's just not. There is literally no single song or album. There is no music that changed my life. There's just not. And I got a text from my friend William, and he says Green Day, and the album is called
Dookie.
And I said, Matt says that's a great album. How? He says the introduction, it was my introduction to not being mainstream. Be yourself and have fun doing it. I said, how old were you? He said 19. You're closer to 19. You're familiar with the album. Do you understand his point? You get what he's...
I can see that because Green Day at that time, I mean, they are the mainstream now. But back then, they were just a bunch of punk kids who somehow wound up on the radio. Same thing with Nirvana and bands like that.
And I'm really thinking about this. I'm thinking about... And I thought about it like last night for a while, and I went through my list of favorite albums since I was about 16 or 15, whatever age you want to start at. And there's just no music that changed my life, that changed my outlook, that changed the way I see the world. And so I wanted... The Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. I'll say that again because I want to know what yours is if you have one. And so I want to know the album, I want to know the artist, and I want to know why, specifically why.
I kind of have one.
318-392-1884. Yeah. Okay. So.
And it's a weird. You're gonna go. You're an idiot.
No, I promise I won't.
Yeah, you will.
So tell me before you tell me what album it was because I may be familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what about your life it changed and why.
It changed me from the era when I was listening to the teeny bopper type songs, the Donny Osmonds and the David Cassidys and all that. it moved me from that time frame to rock, to classic Southern rock that I really enjoyed.
But it really
and I
didn't
still
change,
enjoy.
It didn't change the way you looked at the world. It didn't say.
It kind of did. It kind of it made me realize that concerts would be different for me. That a whole new world would open up to new music, new bands I hadn't even thought about listening to before. And it's odd because I have 4 older brothers. So they were big music nuts. I mean, they had Jimmy. My mother used to say, walking down our long hallway with all the bedrooms, she would hear this loud guitar in this room and this loud drum in this room from the music they would be playing.
So what was the album? Who was the artist?
This is embarrassing.
Why?
Because it was something that it just caught me.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. It was an album my brothers had. I think 1 or 2 of them had it. But then they would listen to it all the time. And it was the Allman Brothers' Eat a Peach album. And that is just so bizarre. I understand that. But I just really, when I heard that album and several of the songs on that album, I thought,
obviously
this is really cool
when
stuff.
you came to appreciate that album, tied to a whipping post.
Yeah.
When you were old enough to understand that album, I mean, it's not exactly literary.
No,
well, I guess
it's not.
But the point being is that it was not a new album when you started listening to it.
No, it wasn't.
Because it's late 60s,
but
68
Melissa,
or so.
I think, what was it, Blue Sky? I mean, I just loved some of the songs on that album,
Is there
and it
one
just
on your
changed
list?
what I wanted to hear.
There are 3 that changed, and it's all sort of for the same reason. Frank Sinatra in the wee small hours of the morning.
Now tell me why that changed your life.
All 3 of them.
Okay,
I will
for the
let
same
you know.
reason.
Tool, Undertow, and Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks.
Okay, let's say that. So for the same reason, Frank Sinatra, the band Tool, and Bob Dylan changed your life.
Well, it gave me a different perspective, and if you actually, listen to the lyrics, they allude to the works of art, the books and such. And I got, this is kind of cool. And it sent me down this rabbit hole where I started reading different things, and it exposed me to a whole new world I didn't even know I existed. I grew up in Baltimore. Rap was the big thing. So when I discovered that stuff, it completely, oh, God, there's more than world than 40s and big screen TVs.
29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Once again, the Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. What is it? What music changed your life and why? I'm just intrigued to know because I ain't got that. I just don't have that. Traffic and weather updates right now. Ruben's ready.
The intersection at Line Avenue and Kings Highway is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're starting to see some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Anyone with a pulse, we'll just call.
information. KEEL News now.
A bill seeking to make major changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. Student Body Vice President Rachel Campbell says reducing TOPS awards amounts for some students is just not the way to build a strong economy.
In order to strengthen the state's workforce and stimulate the state's crippling economy, legislators should reinvest in higher education and TOPS.
The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. No charges will be filed against two Baton Rouge police officers who shot and killed Alton Sterling in 2016. Attorney General Jeff Landry says his office and several independent investigators felt the shooting was justified.
Each expert was selected by the U.S. Department of Justice. Each independently concluded that both officers acted in a reasonable and justifiable manner in the shooting death of Mr. Sterling.
Landry says despite the outcome that we should all unite and pray for the family that Sterling left behind. The United Daughters of the Confederacy are suing Caddo Parish in an attempt to stop the removal of a Confederate monument downtown. As part of the suit, the UDC wanted depositions from 4 of the 7 commissioners who voted for removal. However, a judge has shut down the UDC, saying the depositions would not help their case. Could smoking be banned in Shreveport bars? Matt Parker takes a look.
Shreveport City Councilman James Fleury is proposing an ordinance to ban smoking in Shreveport bars. Fleury says that bartenders and those that work in bars and clubs have no choice on whether or not they are exposed to smoke. However, many local bar owners say that banning smoking would hurt their business and give casinos an unfair advantage. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Sandbags are available locally with the heavy rains moving through. The sandbags are being made available to residents across Shreveport and Bossier. Bossier residents can pick them up at the maintenance facility in Benton, as well as the fire stations in Houghton and Plain Dealing. Shreveport residents can get sandbags from the city streets and drainage yard on Mansfield Road. A bill to shorten the waiting period for getting married advances to the House floor. The legislation by Karen Crow Representative Julie Emerson would reduce the wait time from the time paperwork is filed to officially hitched to 24 hours from the current 72. Emerson says Louisiana has an abnormally long wait time.
And this was, like I said, a little bit of an outlier, and at some point you have to kind of let people make their own decisions in that regard.
The current 72-hour delay is in place to dissuade impulsive marriage decisions. One-time White House aide and former Apprentice contestant Omarosa Newman is dishing on what her brief stint advising the president was like. She says he launches morning tweets in his underwear. She says she was attacked by other aides when she tried curbing his tweets. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis talks about the future of the team. Now, he was asked about the failed pursuit of all-pro defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. Suh signed with the Rams on a 1-year, $14 million deal after a visit to New Orleans. Loomis says sometimes it just doesn't work out.
We made a pitch and like he chose to go a different direction. That happens. That happens more often than not, really. When you have 32 teams and you're all competing for a group of players, and so sometimes you lose.
Coach Sean Payton got asked for a hot take on the draft and didn't hesitate to say there's one quarterback he really admires, and that's Louisville's Lamar Jackson. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, 737. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. And I had said just what album changed your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yours was our friend Paul in New Orleans put a Facebook post up, and I started thinking about that. I'm thinking there's just no music that changed my life. Just didn't. I mean, there's books that changed my life. There's stories. There's poems that altered the way I view the world. But just music, no.
Mine was the Allman Brothers' Eat a Peach.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird.
No, not at all.
But it got me from the teeny bopper years to rock and roll.
Matt said 3 basic artists and who seem to have nothing in common. Frank Sinatra, the band Tool, and Bob Dylan.
And you could throw Tom Waits in there, too. But
here's one, Shreveport Security Systems text line. I grew up listening to country and country alone, but I heard one song at the end of a movie during credits, and the song made me realize there are other things in the world, and the world is much bigger than just Louisiana. That song was I'll Be Your King, You'll Be My Queen by Van Morrison.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
What's our Van Morrison song? It's the new St. James Infirmary. I mean, there's a number of artists who have done that.
I love the Louis Armstrong version.
That's are you familiar with that song?
No.
Oh, we will tell you about it during the break.
Okay.
I will play you the Hugh Laurie. Yeah, that's it. The guy from House. He kills it.
Yeah.
It's basically a song about a guy seeing his girlfriend's dead body in the morgue.
Wow.
And what goes through his mind.
Oh, man.
And Van
That's
Morrison.
sick.
Van Morrison, among thousands of artists, has covered that.
And that's supposed to cheer me up?
I didn't say it was going to cheer you up.
Well,
I said it might change your life.
Oh.
739, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic is here. So is Ruben.
The intersection of Line Avenue and Kings Highway is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're starting to see some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
.117 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. You're working feverishly on something. I assume it's a news story. Typing like a madwoman.
I'm just working on the latest ruling in the United Daughters of the Confederacy fight against the Caddo Commission.
By latest ruling, you mean like yesterday? What was the deal?
Well, the UDC wanted to depose 4 of the 7 Caddo commissioners who
Stephen
voted.
Jackson. Yeah, it was Jackson. It was Stormy Gage Watts. It was
Matthew Lynn.
And Lyndon Johnson.
I believe they wanted to depose
those
those
it was Lyndon
4.
Johnson.
Yep, that's who they are.
And those were 4 of the 7 who voted to remove the statue.
And sort of, so they were taking.
I don't know why they only wanted to depose 4 of the 7 who voted
because
against
it was 4-3.
Well, no,
it was 7-5.
It was 7-5. But the reason they singled them out is that, according to the daughters, those 4 were the most outspoken and could have had bias or something along those lines.
Okay.
They
now,
were stretching.
Well, now a federal judge has said no. There's no need to depose those 4 commissioners. It wouldn't help your case, and the reasons why the commissioners voted for removal are really irrelevant.
Okay, so what's the deal about smoking in bars? What's the that's got Matt all riled up again? Look, I'm not sure. Is this going to take us to the heights or beyond of his? I mean, of his previous rant.
His buddy Councilman Fleury has proposed an ordinance to ban smoking in all Shreveport bars. All nightclubs, all bars, no more smoking. And
would
some
that include,
folks who...
would that include casinos?
No.
So casinos...
That's what some bars say. That gives them an unfair advantage, and that's not right.
Because they serve drinks at the casino. I don't know if you've noticed.
You bet, and a lot of times free.
Yeah.
So they're saying that's not fair to the local businesses. Why would we do that? But Fleury says, the people that work in those places are exposed to the secondhand smoke, and it's damaging their health.
And there's 2 points here that really drive me nuts, that being one of them. First of all, I am against, I know you own a private business, and we're going to let you do what you want, but you can't do bah, 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 bah. I hate that. If the bar owners want smokers in there, let them. If not...
Just serve 4-year-olds some Baileys. That's good, too. Let's do that.
These are adults who are 21
what is that
who can
absurd
smoke.
He's saying we're making rules based on... You got to make rules. Businesses have to follow rules.
Yes, but telling people...
Hold it, kids. From the Shreveport Security Systems text line. Okay. We got to put a stop to this smoking in bars thing. Private businesses should have their freedom of choice to allow or disallow smoking. Patrons and service staff then have the freedom of choice to work where smoking is allowed or not.
That's basically my point. These guys, these bartenders, I get Councilman Fleury's point. I like him. But, I think when you're taking a paycheck from somewhere, you're doing the job. When it's not like all of a sudden, well, we're going to smoke it up in here tonight. You knew that when you went in for the interview or whatever the process was. You know there was smoking in there. You knew you had to deal with secondhand smoke. Now all of a sudden you want to cry after you accepted a paycheck?
Maybe it's the only job you can get.
Anybody can get a job at McDonald's, okay?
Why can't the smokers go outside and smoke? What's wrong with that?
Well, if the bar owner wants them to do that, then that's the way it is. It should be up to the owner of the establishment, not some, guy in a suit in City Hall who doesn't own a bar.
Let's just let City Hall decide we can smoke at City Hall now. That would be cool, too.
If that's what the mayor wants, hey, smoking everywhere in City Hall?
No, because the public comes in and they want to do business with City Hall without being subject to secondhand smoke.
Well, the other thing is, a lot of people are mandated to go to City Hall, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't mandated to go to the bar, baby.
Well, let's just let Town Square Media say we can smoke here. It's good. Everybody smoke away.
You used to be able to because it's a privately owned business.
You used to be able to everywhere, Matt. You can't anymore. The evidence is too great. It's killing people.
If it's my choice to smoke, I am a smoker.
But you're hurting other people who are not smokers.
Not my problem.
Yeah,
no,
it kind of is.
Pardon me just a moment.
If something you do hurts me, I gotta shout at you.
Hold your horses.
We're about to kill each other today.
I might.
That's the only upside of this segment. Let me bring this up because you seem so concerned about the health of the bartender basically. If you're going to take your point of view, why not just go back to prohibition and ban liquor also? I mean, if you're going to ban things that harm people.
No. The liquor doesn't harm the person sitting next to me.
It does.
The liquor harms the person who's consuming it. The smoke harms the person sitting next to me.
So why don't you just ban cigarettes altogether if they're so harmful?
That'd be cool, too. I'm good with that.
And then the state really will be broke. If everybody loves this state, they should smoke and drink their asses
our
off.
health care costs would drop so much if we didn't have cigarettes in this country. It would be enormous how fewer dollars we'd spend on medical care.
And yet, when you see, look, I was filling up with gas yesterday, and right there at the Kroger, the new Kroger, right? and it's got the list of cigarettes per pack.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, what is it? Marlboro Lights are now almost $6.50 a pack. The point being, about $4.50 of that, or whatever the hell it happens to be, I don't know precisely. That's all taxes. What if you think about the tax? Why do you think smoking really exists? Why do you think it's a sin?
Oh, because of the money that's involved. Follow the money. I'm not an idiot.
The point I'm making is that how much money would Louisiana, in fact, be out? Where's the balance? What would the scale be? If people...
You know what? Change the cigarette tax for a bicycle tax. Everybody that's riding a bicycle and is healthy and does that healthy activity, tax runners' sneakers. Because people want to go out and run and get healthy. I'm being stupid here and silly, but we can replace a tax with any other tax if we'd like. Why not make it a tax on something healthy?
Because it's called a sin tax for a reason.
Well, let's make it a non-sin tax.
Government has decided that
Let's make it a God tax.
Government has decided that you, as a smoker, are performing an unhealthy act.
Yes.
And you have to pay for it because... circuitously, they're hoping you're paying for your own end-of-life care.
Well,
which
you're
is,
not.
Yeah, you kind of are, which is kind of grisly.
You know, if we're just going to go down the road of legislating personal decisions, let's go hog wild. Everybody gets taxed for a haircut, nails trimmed, driving a car. If you want to start legislating every decision that everybody makes on a personal level, business or otherwise, and let's just go crazy. 50 cents a bar stool every day.
How much do we want to be like California? That's what you got to ask yourself.
No, we don't want that.
749, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic time is here, and so is Ruben.
The intersection at Line Avenue and Kings Highway is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're starting to see some traffic delays on Texas Street in downtown Shreveport. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
This is me. Here's your Keel AccuDot WeatherCom forecast. Kind of cloudy and rainy today, low to middle 70s right now, 58 at Keel. God, you're still yelling at each other. 752, traffic, no. Sports update. Erin's here for Tim today.
NFL owners have unanimously approved new language in the catch rule, defining control of the ball, getting 2 feet or another body part down, and making a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball. Saints coach Sean Payton got asked about who's hot in this year's draft, and he didn't hesitate. He likes Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I like him. You watch him play, he's athletic. He's got a magic smile to him. He's a fantastic leader. One of the things that we as coaches, and we all understand this, that there's not going to be another Drew Brees clone. But with Lamar, I think you feel it in the room, and you can tell he can lead.
General Manager Mickey Loomis says the big names are off the market and free agency has cooled off, so fan attention is turning to the draft. A prosecutor says a Michigan State University official failed to supervise Larry Nassar at a critical time when the sports doctor was facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Bill Forsyth announcing charges against 70-year-old William Strample, who was dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine until December. Strample's accused of willful neglect of duty in his dealings with Nassar. An Alabama quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is back throwing in practice. He made some throws and handoffs after injuring a finger on his left throwing hand in the Crimson Tide's first spring practice. I'm Erin McCarty.
Diamond Jacks.
Gee, you two just yelling at each other.
She deserved it.
Could have gone to Cracker Barrel and gotten hash brown casserole or something. Except I would have sat close to the fireplace and smelled the secondhand smoke and died.
Yeah, and died.
101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Shreveport Security Systems text line 318-392-1884. When you get a job as a bartender, you know people in bars smoke. You don't have to take that job. There's lots of bars where you can't. We're only a couple of steps away from outlawing barbecue pits because of secondhand smoke. Now, that's interesting because I went to Superior Grill a couple of nights ago.
Yes.
I mean, there are places in Shreveport, you know, when you walk out, other people know where you've been because of the smell of the restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And Superior is one of them.
Superior Bar and Grill's definitely one. Yeah, no doubt.
So when they bring fajitas to the plate, is your life in danger? Oh, is that a different kind of smoke?
No, that's not in danger.
No formaldehyde.
No, if you go to a barbecue joint, no the barbecue
chemicals.
Smoke's not going to kill you.
Then why in California do they ban cooking out on certain days when the smog is higher? Oh, yeah.
California's crazy.
756, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here is Hannity.
The truth and nothing but This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
All right, so the mainstream media disappointed. They didn't get what they were looking for with the stormy 60 Minutes interview. And, of course, with Jerry Springer wannabe, Anderson Cooper was asking creepy questions. Anyway, Newsbusters reporting all three networks on Monday adopting a pretty impatient and irritated tone with Stormy's attorney, host complaining that the porn star's 60 Minutes interview had been a big, boring, nothing tease. Now, despite the fact the interview didn't carry the smoking gun, bombshell revelations the media had hypocritically been hoping for, well, it didn't stop them from covering the story ad nauseum. In other words, one big, huge, shameful display of the media's breathless, hysterical coverage attacking Donald Trump. But, of course, many of these networks totally ignored Paula, Juanita, and Kathleen.
Keeping you on the straight path. Later today, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
A list of things that will let you down today. Your alarm clock, C-store coffee, public transportation, the office elevator, the sandwich you packed for lunch, the fifth floor printer, your cell phone battery, the shoelace you swore you double knotted, your hard drive, your backup hard drive, and of course, the weather. Brighten your day with something you can actually count on. GoToMeeting is the easy-to-use collaborative meeting tool that 18 million monthly users trust to help them get work done. To learn more about how you can meet better, visit gotomeeting.com.
I'm Jay Farner from Quicken Loans. Choosing the right mortgage lender means choosing more than just a rate. Does calling the company with 12 J.D. Power Awards for client service matter? Does calling the company that invented Rocket Mortgage, the industry's most innovative technology, matter? If working with America's #1 online lender matters to you, call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Equal housing lender, NMLS number 3030.
Just received reports of a minor accident on Walker Road near Burcoon's Industrial Loop. And we're keeping an eye on some backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Benton Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. It's 8:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app, a free download from Office Furniture Source. And Erin has local stuff up next.
Sandbags are available if you need them. Cyport wants a loan from the Caddo Commission. We'll tell you more about that. And the state attorney general issues his ruling in the shooting death of Alton Sterling.
Definitely want more details on that Cyport loan request. Because if they went to a bank, what would their chances be?
Is the Bank of Bob loaning them money?
Not them. There was a terrorist attack in Paris that nobody knows about.
Really?
That nobody's talking about, and I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
Fletcher's away today. Erin filling in for Tim. She's got sports, traffic, and weather updates all this hour on KEEL.
Information. KEEL News now.
With heavy rains moving through the area and flash flood warnings in effect, sandbags are being made available locally. Bossier residents can get the sandbags at the maintenance facility in Benton, as well as several fire stations in Houghton and Plain Dealing. Shreveport residents can get sandbags from the city streets and drainage yard on Mansfield Road. Cyport wants a $2 million loan from the Caddo Commission to help with debt restructuring. According to the Times, Cyport officials met with Commissioners Stephen Jackson and John Atkins before going before the full commission. However, parish officials aren't sure the loan would be legal, saying the loan may fall outside the parish charter. The UDC loses another round in court. Matt Parker with that.
The United Daughters of the Confederacy are suing Caddo Parish in an attempt to stop the removal of the Confederate monument in downtown Shreveport. As part of that suit, the UDC wanted depositions from 4 of the 7 Caddo commissioners who voted for removal. However, a U.S. judge has shut down the UDC, saying that depositions wouldn't help their case and that the reasons why the commissioners voted for removal are irrelevant. The suit is scheduled to go to trial on June 25th. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
After a 10-month investigation, State Attorney General Jeff Landry announces no charges will be filed against 2 Baton Rouge police officers in the shooting death of Alton Sterling.
The Louisiana Department of Justice cannot proceed with a prosecution of either Officer Lake or Officer Salomon.
Landry says his office did not take this decision lightly and went through every piece of evidence gathered by local police and federal authorities. Hunter Coleman, Cole Jones, and Timothy Capo celebrated for their daring rescue at the duck pond. The trio honored at the city council meeting for their heroic efforts. Coleman, Jones, and Capo dove into the duck pond to rescue 2 women and 3 children from a wrecked car. All 3 children and grandmother Kathy Brown survived the wreckage. The driver, Megan Brown, died in that crash. Could smoking be banned in Shreveport bars? Shreveport Councilman James Fleury proposing an ordinance to ban smoking in bars. He says bartenders and those that work in the clubs have no choice in whether or not they are exposed to smoke. However, many local bar owners say banning smoking would hurt their business and give the casinos an unfair advantage. Minimum wage increase, pay secrecy, and equal pay for women legislation all died on the Senate floor. The bills were a major part of the governor's agenda. New Orleans Senator J.P. Morrell's equal pay for women bill died 20-18. He says the best and brightest in our state are flocking to other states that won't pay them less for the same work a man does.
In all the places where all these industries are flourishing, California has the 6th highest economy in the world. And they have some of the most stringent equal pay legislation in the world.
The wage hike was defeated 21-17. Bossier School Bus 300 hit by a driver on Airline Drive in front of the Walmart. The accident happened around 3 p.m. The driver apparently pulled out of the parking lot and hit the bus. No students were hurt. A bill seeking to make major changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. LSU student body Vice President Rachel Campbell says the proposed legislation would force some LSU students to leave our state.
I am also a TOPS recipient. Without it, I would not have been able to have the experience that I've had at LSU. In fact, when funding was not met last year, my parents actually encouraged me to transfer out of state without looking back.
It's still unclear if TOPS will be fully funded next fall. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 8 o'clock. KEEL traffic update. Ruben's ready.
Still keeping an eye on that heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Benton Road right now. And we have reports of a minor accident on Walker Road near Burcoon's Industrial Loop. If you have anything to report to us, let us know at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Can I ask you a dumb question?
Well, it is Wednesday. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Yeah, knock yourself out.
You think Horseshoe will let me check in at like 9:30?
Absolutely.
When the normal check-in is like 1 or 2 or 3?
Since you really don't spend much time in the room since you're living at the blackjack table there.
No,
Bart Maverick.
I probably won't play blackjack today. I don't think.
Bat Masterson, Bat McCarty.
Yeah.
But, I'm like...
Erin Rounders McCarty.
I got a pretty good rate to stay over at the shoe tonight, and I'm like, I'm going to get away.
Because of the work at your house.
Some banging going on at the house,
The reconstruction, yeah.
And, I'm just going to get in a nice bed. I'm on an air mattress, and this is almost the end of 2 weeks on an air mattress, so I'm like, I'm going to go get a nice bed again. And I got good, middle of the week, got a pretty decent rate over there, so... I'm thinking if I showed up at 9:30, would they turn me away and say, "Not quite yet. We're not ready for you"?
It depends on how much, if you walk up to the check-in lady right there at Horseshoe, I know what you're talking about, right there at the bottom floor.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you set down like 2 suitcases and 1,000 chips. I think they'll check you
They
in.
might check me in.
I think they will put you to the front of the line. Hold on a second. I got some extra stuff.
Oh, man. I know you want to know about the Cyport deal. I know you had questions about that.
I do indeed.
And this was kind of a shocker to me, Matt, to you too. I was kind of surprised to see this.
Yeah.
Cyport's asking the parish for a loan of $2 million.
Here's the official response to the official parish email.
Okay.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Checks in the mail. Yeah.
That's what Cyport... Now, Cyport has been closed. It closed, last
Labor Day, I think?
fall
Yeah.
or late last summer, with plans to reopen under the aegis of the Planet Aqua Group, the folks in charge of the aquarium.
They opened part of it back up.
Well, that was even after the Planet Aqua, and I can only speculate because they have been very hush-hush about the Planet Aqua folks who looked at the operation and said, maybe we tried to be too helpful too soon.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
They bailed on that. They bailed on that operation. So...
They've asked, they sat down and met apparently with Stephen Jackson and John Atkins, 2 commissioners, before going before the full commission. But there's some concern whether or not this would even be legal based on what the city charter says. It has some language in the city, the parish charter says something about funds cannot be used for certain.
How much do they want?
They want $2 million.
To do what?
They want to use the money to help with their debt restructuring. So essentially, let's say you have 3 credit cards and they're charging you 20% interest on each one of them.
Yeah.
You go out and get a new credit card from Bank of Arkadelphia that charges 9%.
I have a question.
Okay.
Here. Okay. Since you are only limited in your operation, and since you are only, I'm talking about Cyport.
Mm-hmm.
Since you are operating on a limited basis,
right?
How on earth do you plan to pay back the $2 million that you want to borrow?
Well, you restructure your debt.
Okay, but if you're barely open and you're not making any money, how are you going to pay back?
Well, you have grants, you have donors, you have some endowments that you have that are bringing money in.
And according to Rick Lamb, is it Rich?
I think, yeah.
Whatever the boardman guy's name is.
The boardman.
The chairman, whatever. He said that they had like a ton of people showed up, and most of it was new money. It wasn't, Cyport membership holders or whatever. So I guess maybe their plan is, if you give us this, we can open a little bit more. We had 1,000 people show up in 8 days for our little section. I don't know, but
is there anyone currently associated with Cyport that had anything to do that was associated? Is there anyone associated with Cyport now who was associated with the demise of the facility?
Of course, some board members are probably still on the board.
Then
do you clean house? Do you clean the board? There's board members on lots of local civic organizations who are great folks.
The point I'm making is this.
They're just not used to being on a board where you have to pay attention to the nickels and dimes.
Somebody wants $2 million, and it's
of our money, my money.
Yeah.
That's my money.
Yep.
That's my money. That's Robert's money. That's Matt's money. You want to borrow that money from me and Matt and Bob? I need to see what you've changed. I need to see what I's you've dotted and T's you've crossed to make sure we didn't have what was the payroll number we had last month we were reporting?
One of the reasons that they were forced to close was because at one point they had an annual payroll in excess of $2 million.
And I heard rumors that one top brass at Cyport, I've not been able to confirm it, I'm waiting on the documents, was making 300 G's.
And at one point they had laid off, it was 30-something employees, and they had fired, I guess it was, and they had cut the paid staff from 75 to, I think it was 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if if you have an annual payroll in excess of $2 million, it's not employee numbers 41 through 75.
It's numbers 1 through 10.
That's killing you.
Yeah.
It's the top 15 or 20.
You bet it is.
So let's.
Do you want to give them the money?
What's your plan? How are you going to restructure? How are you going to make money? How are you going to operate in the black? What are you going to do? What's your plan?
Let me see a plan. You're right.
A goal without a plan, to quote the great Herm Edwards.
It's just a wish.
Goal without a plan is just a wish. 18 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic and weather updates next.
The clock is ticking.
Twenty past 8 o'clock. Keel Sports Fletch out today. Here's Erin.
NFL owners have unanimously approved new language in the catch rule, defining control of the ball, getting 2 feet or another body part down, and making a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball. Saints coach Sean Payton got asked about who's hot in this year's draft, and he didn't hesitate. He likes Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I like him. You watch him play, he's athletic. He's got a magic smile to him. He's a fantastic leader. One of the things that we as coaches, and we all understand this, that there's not going to be another Drew Brees clone. But with Lamar, I think you feel it in the room, and you can tell he can lead.
General Manager Mickey Loomis says the big names are off the market and free agency has cooled off, so fan attention is turning to the draft. A prosecutor says a Michigan State University official failed to supervise Larry Nassar at a critical time when the sports doctor was facing allegations of sexual misconduct. Bill Forsyth announcing charges against 70-year-old William Strample, who was dean of the College of Osteopathic Medicine until December. Strample's accused of willful neglect of duty in his dealings with Nassar. And Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is back throwing in practice. He made some throws and handoffs after injuring a finger on his left throwing hand in the Crimson Tide's first spring practice. I'm Erin McCarty.
Hi, this is Dalton.
Got questions. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, it's 8:23. Keel app's a free download from Office Furniture Source. You had in the sports, the NFL Rules Committee, because they're having the owners' meetings and stuff this week, I guess.
Down in Orlando.
Have decided to try to clarify, try to simplify the what is a catch rule. And I kind of read it. You're kind of laughing. What, amigo?
It's just so ridiculous.
Why?
They still don't know what a catch is, and it's going to be just as messy
because,
next year.
I mean, they felt compelled to clarify not only because of a bunch of plays last year, but going back, I guess, a couple of years
There've
to the
been a lot of
Des
controversial,
Bryant,
yeah.
then
Calvin Johnson, who literally made a catch and was celebrating a touchdown, put the ball down in the end zone, and they called it incomplete.
Going back about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Then there was the Steelers play, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the NFL Rules Committee, they've rewritten what is a catch, what's not a catch, and hell, even in the Super Bowl, there were a couple of catches that you wondered, is that like the what's his name, Zach Ertz, Vic Ertz? Vic Wirtz was a baseball player. Zach Ertz, I think, is his name for the Eagles. Here's an interesting story that I just want you to ponder for a moment or two.
All right, I've got my pondering ears on.
ESPN report. NFL used new catch rule in Super Bowl replay decisions.
What? Wait, they don't have a new rule yet.
ESPN's claim is, as I'm about to read to you, that the NFL had already decided what the rule changes were going to be and told the officials to implement them in the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Eagles. They just didn't tell anybody. Let me read the story. NFL owners didn't vote on a new catch rule until Tuesday, yesterday, when it passed unanimously. But according to ESPN, the league applied this new rule, even though it wasn't really a rule then, in the most recent Super Bowl. ESPN's Sal Palantonio said a conversation he had with NFL Senior Vice President of Officiating Al Riveron indicated it was clear that the rule was already in place for replay rulings on Eagles touchdown catches by Zach Ertz and Corey Clement. They were basically, this is Palantonio's quote now, they were basically legislating on the fly during the Super Bowl. Palantonio said on NFL Live, Chris Mortensen, another ESPN guy, agreed with Palantonio saying, quote, once again, I still maintain, as I have previously said, that we saw this new rule, the one that's not really a rule yet. We saw this new rule in action during the Super Bowl when the Eagles played the Patriots.
How can they do that?
Because they can do whatever they want. It's their league. The Eagles benefited from both rulings with replays upholding the touchdowns, Ertz's winning 11-yard score. Remember when he fell and the ball came loose with 2 minutes, 21 seconds left.
Wow. Well, the new rule defines control of the ball.
Okay, let's see. Read it. Do you have
Yeah, I have it right here.
You have the text of the new rule. Read the new rule to Matt and me, who is now pounding his head against a turned-off microphone.
Yep.
Read the new rule to Matt and me, and let's see if, to all of us, audience included, it makes more. See if this clarifies.
You have to have control of the ball, and that includes getting 2 feet or another body part down and make a football move, such as a third step or extending the ball.
You mean like Des Bryant did when they said it was no catch?
Yeah.
Because Des Bryant took 2 steps for the Cowboys against the Packers. Des Bryant took 2 steps and leapt forward.
Right.
And they said that the ground made the ball come loose, that he was not a runner. They said that was not a football move. Does this to anyone make it any clearer?
No.
No, it doesn't.
They still haven't fixed the core problem, which is, what is a football move? That's where people...
Yeah.
Well, that he clearly turned into a runner there because he turned upfield, but the other guy, even though he took a 3.5 steps after catching the ball. He didn't make a quote-unquote football move. These idiots. You and I have talked about this.
Pardon me just a moment.
We're killing him today.
Pardon me just a moment, because this will give you a second or two to collect your random thoughts and tighten them up into a little sort of a black hole of a ball with heavy gravity. The point I was going to make was when he starts going, you know he's onto something good. He just needs to focus.
Well, all these sports commissions, the NFL, Major League Baseball, pretty much everybody but hockey have done everything they possibly can to sabotage their own sports. The NFL can't figure out what a catch is. Baseball's taking every staple of the game and just crapping on them. I mean, the NASCAR even is imposing like you know French racing rules now with the stages and everything. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Stages.
Hate it. Let's take something that's worked for 100 years and just set it on fire in a dumpster.
Why don't they just wear tutus?
They might as well.
I like it.
We can't hit people. Well, then why don't you take a $10 million paycheck?
When we come back, I'm going to read you a presidential tweet today.
Okay.
That you're going to probably get panties all twisted about.
I have to go down the hall and get some. 29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Local news up next. Here's Ruben. Here's traffic.
The intersection at Greenwood Road and Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now, and we're still keeping an eye on that minor accident on Kings Highway and Linwood Avenue. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
A bill seeking to make major changes to TOPS faced opposition from LSU students. Student Body Vice President Rachel Campbell says reducing TOPS awards amounts for some students is just not the way to build a strong economy.
In order to strengthen the state's workforce and stimulate the state's crippling economy, legislators should reinvest in higher education and TOPS.
The Senate Education Committee defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award. No charges will be filed against two Baton Rouge police officers who shot and killed Alton Sterling in 2016. Attorney General Jeff Landry says his office and several independent investigators felt the shooting was justified.
Each expert was selected by the U.S. Department of Justice. Each independently concluded that both officers acted in a reasonable and justifiable manner in the shooting death of Mr. Sterling.
Landry says despite the outcome that we should all unite and pray for the family that Sterling left behind. The United Daughters of the Confederacy are suing Caddo Parish in an attempt to stop the removal of a Confederate monument downtown. As part of the suit, the UDC wanted depositions from 4 of the 7 commissioners who voted for removal. However, a judge has shut down the UDC, saying the depositions would not help their case. Could smoking be banned in Shreveport bars? Matt Parker takes a look.
Shreveport City Councilman James Fleury is proposing an ordinance to ban smoking in Shreveport bars. Fleury says that bartenders and those that work in bars and clubs
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
And drainage yard on Mansfield Road. A bill to shorten the waiting period for getting married advances to the House floor. The legislation by Karen Crow Representative Julie Emerson would reduce the wait time from the time paperwork is filed to officially hitched to 24 hours from the current 72. Emerson says Louisiana has an abnormally long wait time.
And this was, like I said, a little bit of an outlier, and at some point you have to kind of let people make their own decisions in that regard.
The current 72-hour delay is in place to dissuade impulsive marriage decisions. One-time White House aide and former Apprentice contestant Omarosa Newman is dishing on what her brief stint advising the president was like. She says he launches morning tweets in his underwear. She says she was attacked by other aides when she tried curbing his tweets. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis talks about the future of the team. Now, he was asked about the failed pursuit of all-pro defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. Suh signed with the Rams on a one-year, $14 million deal after a visit to New Orleans. Loomis says sometimes it just doesn't work out.
We made a pitch, and like he chose to go a different direction. That happens. That happens more often than not, really. When you have 32 teams and you're all competing for a group of players, and so sometimes you lose.
Coach Sean Payton got asked for a hot take on the draft and didn't hesitate to say there's one quarterback he really admires, and that's Louisville's Lamar Jackson. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin. What?
I'm gonna next segment. We need to talk about the Video Game Hall of Fame.
No, we have to talk about the terror attack.
No, we got to talk about this first.
No, well, we can talk about what
Trump
you want
tweet,
now.
The Trump tweet, real quick.
What was it?
Received message last night from Xi Jinping of China that his meeting with Kim Jong-un went very well, and that Kim looks forward to his meeting with me. In the meantime, and unfortunately, maximum sanctions and pressure must be maintained at all costs. Does the president even need to meet with Kim Jong-un?
Since the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, has said that he hopes to denuclearize his country, yeah, I think it's probably not a bad idea.
We should? Okay. Well, maybe so.
I mean, why is that a bad idea? Why sitting down with the guy when
he's a killer? He's a killer. He kills people.
But what if you can negotiate a treaty where they will denuclearize? Where they
will he stop killing his people?
Well, no, that ain't going to happen.
Well, then why meet with him? He's a murderer.
Because if you don't recall...
So we meet with murderers but not terrorists?
Stop talking. Because if you don't recall, last fall he was firing missiles over Japan and making threats against California.
Of course I understand that.
So now if you can get him to the point because of the pressures, economic and otherwise, that have been put on his hermit kingdom, as North Korea is known, to get him to give up his nuclear weapons,
right?
Don't you see that as possibly a step in the right direction?
It's a step in the right direction.
That's all you can hope for with that clown.
Before we wrap up this hour, though, we got to go over these video games that are nominated for the Video Game Hall of Fame.
That's awesome for anybody under the age of 30. I've told you before.
Come on.
There was a terror attack in Paris.
And we don't even know about it.
A terrorist attack, and it is worth talking about because no one else is. And I'll tell you what it was when we get back. 839, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. Ruben is here and better than ever.
The intersection of Greenwood Road and Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that minor accident on Kings Highway and Linwood Avenue. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, a flash flood watch in effect. Not as warm today and this evening with periods of heavy rain and a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding, high 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, as always, the Shreveport Security. Oh, my goodness. We had to use, I was going to say, the Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. We actually, earlier this morning, had to use the Jack Spring Electric Shock Buster button.
Yeah, shame on you.
On Erin. And I'm not going to get back into that, but it was, did you hear what it was? I'll tell you later.
Oh, hush.
Headline here, and nobody else is talking about this in the context that I will. There was a terror attack in Paris a couple of days ago.
Okay.
The thing is,
Well, haven't I not heard?
Because nobody's reporting it and nobody's calling it.
Why
that.
not?
Let me read this headline to you. This is the always in denial New York Times. She survived the Holocaust to die in a 2018 hate crime. Now, I'm going to say that again, but I want you to finish the sentence for me. And after I say 2018, instead of me saying hate crime, I want you to say terrorist attack. Okay?
Gotcha.
She survived the Holocaust only to die in a 2018
terror attack.
Change it to terrorist attack.
Terrorist attack.
An 85-year-old woman who as a child narrowly escaped France's most notorious wartime roundup of Jews was murdered in Paris, and authorities are calling it a hate crime. Now, once again, I'm going to say
85-year-old murdered in Paris.
Wait just a second. You know what to substitute when, well, I'll point.
Yeah.
You know what to say where it says hate crime. Remember, this is the New York Times.
Sure.
Okay. An 85-year-old woman, boom, 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 murdered in Paris, and the authorities are calling it a
terrorist attack.
No, they're not. They're calling it a hate crime. The body of the woman, Muriel Knoll, was found Friday in her apartment in the city's working-class 11th arrondissement.
Why is this a terror attack?
She had been stabbed to death, and her body was burned after her attackers apparently tried to set fire to the apartment. The Paris prosecutor's office said Monday that Ms. Knoll had been killed because of, listen how they phrased this now, because of the membership, real or supposed, of the victim of a particular religion. You know what that means? She was Jewish.
She's Jewish.
Okay, but they won't say it was anti-Semitic. The Paris police will not say this is an act of overt anti-Semitism. They are saying that this 85-year-old woman who survived the German concentration camps in the 1940s, early 1940s, it wasn't anti-Semitic. She wasn't murdered because she was Jewish. It was because of membership, real or supposed, of a victim of a particular religion.
They're calling it a hate crime, though, which just sounds accurate.
Ms. Knoll was a child in Paris when in summer of 1942, the French police, cooperating with the Germans, rounded up thousands of the city's Jews, stuffing them into a cycling stadium, the Velodrome. Virtually all were subsequently murdered at Auschwitz. Now, let's go down all the way to the end of the article.
Okay.
When I say all the way to the end, I am totally serious, because it's way down here where you get to who the murderers were. The Paris prosecutor's office declined, two guys have been arrested, declined to characterize the origins of the two suspects. Remember now, earlier on, they wouldn't call it anti-Semitic.
Right.
Oh, just because she was a particular, real or supposed membership in a specific religion. The Paris prosecutor's office declined to characterize the origins of the two suspects, saying the principals were of North African origin, which of course means they were
Muslim.
A terrorist attack. Understand?
Wait, I don't understand that. Why is it a terror attack because of where they're from?
Stop just a second. These were obviously Sharia supremacist radical Muslims who killed this Jewish woman. Now you're saying, how could it be a terror attack?
That's a hate crime.
If it's only one? No. It's, well, hate crime in much the same way 9/11 was a hate crime.
I would not call this a terror attack.
In much the same way 9/11 was a hate crime, this was also a terror attack.
No,
I will explain.
No.
Now that our security has grown to the point where terrorists cannot fly planes into buildings, then they sort of evolved into driving trucks into restaurants. And then when they couldn't do that anymore, then they sort of evolved into going into a mall and shooting people. And when we upped our security again, now they go into a mall and stab people. As we have increased our security to eliminate the macro terror attack. Terrorist attacks by Sharia supremacists, by radical Muslims, are, in fact, if you look at the numbers, growing smaller and smaller and smaller. Micro terror attacks. That is the trend, and it has been the growing trend for almost 5 years or more. The point being, these two radical Muslim Sharia supremacists committed an act of terror on one person, a Jewish woman who survived the Holocaust. And that, do not be surprised. Look, it was last year. Where was it? In Paris? No, it was in London, where they beheaded the guy on the street. Okay? As we up our security standards, where you can't fly planes in the buildings, you can't drive trucks into restaurants.
Right.
More and more of these micro terror attacks are going to take place. Just like this 85-year-old woman, Ms. Knoll, in Paris. A two-man terror attack on a single Jewish woman. 849, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic update now. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive near East Kings Highway. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Now you can listen to KEEL with your Alexa device at home. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Commerce Department announced they will include a question on the next census that asks if you are a citizen or not. And that's already provoked some lawsuits from California, New York, and Massachusetts.
Critics contend just asking the questions will inhibit participation among immigrants who are nervous about being found out that they are illegal. And critics say that this could result in an undercount of the areas most heavily populated by new immigrants. And that includes Georgia, which has 1 million Latinos. Half of them are undocumented.
Our elected representatives are supposed to represent people who are supposed to be in this country and supposed to be allowed to vote, not those who aren't.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Hey, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty again for Twin City Appliance. You know, in an increasingly impersonal world, not the case at Twin City Appliance. And I point to the following Twin City Appliance bullet point. Ready?
Yeah.
Each of the Twin City Appliance techs works a given area, i.e., if you've got more than one problem, and let's face it, over a decade, hell, they've been in business since, 1984.
Mhm.
If you've now, my dryer's about 32 years old. It's going to go soon, but that's
you
not
might need to get it checked out.
You will see the same person every time you get service. They wear uniforms, the vans are marked, and you have, best of all, a personal relationship with the Twin City Appliance tech who comes to your house.
Yep.
Imagine somebody you can trust, somebody who's like a friend, somebody who really knows their stuff.
And no butt crack showing.
That's
Call-
their best. That's on their website.
Give Twin City Appliance a call today, 318-688-0253, or check them out online, twincityappliance.com.
Got just about a minute here, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. We are going to have to institute a new studio rule. We don't have many. We have Keep It on the Radio.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of other small ones. No video games in the studio. As you are starting to become more aware, some would say enlightened.
I'm hooked on that PUBG thing.
What's it called? PUBG, and there's another one called
Watch my kids play. It is incredible.
Fart Night or something like
By
that.
the way, the
What's it called?
nominees for the Video Game Hall of Fame.
She has no idea what I just said.
Yeah,
Nope.
you're talking about. I'm not going to repeat what you just said.
Go ahead.
The Hall of Fame nominees for this year: the John Madden Football, Ms. Pac-Man, Asteroids, Call of Duty, DDR,
Asteroids,
Final Fantasy VII, Tomb Raider makes the list too.
Tomb Raider. We got to go. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Kim Commando.
HelloFresh.com/Kim.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Uri Drive near East Kings Highway. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. We have a flash flood watch in effect. Rain will be heavy at times today and this evening. There'll also be a thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High today 74. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL.